Good Friday evening and welcome to the NCWLIFE Evening News. I'm Grant Olson. Before we get to what's making news today, let's take a quick look outside that weather window. And not quite as warm as yesterday, but man, beautiful day this afternoon. Kind of thought it would be a little bit windier than it was, so that's a nice surprise. Still was breezy in spots around north central Washington. And as we move into the upcoming weekend, we're going to see a bit of a cool down. Also a little bit of wind on Saturday. Temperatures back in the upper 60s, and then by Sunday to end our weekend, looks pretty nice. Sunny skies, lighter winds with highs again in the upper 60s. And we'll have your complete weather forecast coming up a little bit later on. And now here are some of the stories we're following for you tonight. Washington Governor Jay Inslee said yesterday that there are new guidelines coming that will allow people who have received full COVID-19 vaccinations more freedom in attending events. Also, Governor Jay Inslee on Thursday lashed out at the Fraternal Order of Eagles in Republic for what he said were a series of public events they held earlier this month that were designed to flout the state's COVID-19 guidelines. And 2 elementary school principals will take up new positions in the Wenatchee School District starting July 1st. But first, our top story tonight. Almost 42% of Wenatchee Valley adults have taken at least one shot of their COVID-19 vaccination, and overall, about 33% of the eligible Chelan and Douglas County population are fully vaccinated. That beats the statewide average of almost 30% full vaccination. Dr. Umer Shah, the state secretary of health, says that rate goes along with continuing vaccine success in Washington. The state passed 5 million shots administered as of this week.
You know, this is a graphic that shows you how long it took us to reach the first million doses administered. It was 53 days, and then the next million was half of that. And then, as you can see, we are now making progress, and at getting to the 4th million and the 5th million, it's taking just about 2 weeks for us to reach these milestones. So I think it's really critical that we see that we are continuing to make progress, but we can only make that progress if we have the adequate supply. We do believe we have the capacity across the state, and that's something that we, along with Governor Inslee and his team, have been assuring that we have the capacity across the state to administer the vaccine. And really, it's a matter of supply, and it's also a matter of demand. And we want to make sure that our population, when offered, are getting vaccinated.
Washington Governor Jay Inslee said yesterday that there are new guidelines coming that will allow people who have received full COVID-19 vaccinations more freedom in attending events, including school graduations and church services. After warning that a 4th wave of COVID-19 is now hitting Washington, Inslee said getting more people vaccinated is a key to ending the pandemic. The governor said the new guidelines on full vaccinations will be in place by mid-May.
We also will be announcing new guidelines that will allow spectator events in sports, performing arts, school graduations to be able to be with other folks who are vaccinated. Another benefit of getting vaccinated, we'll announce those shortly. So if you want to be with a group of people at the Mariners games, you're going to be able to do that, whereas if you're not vaccinated, you won't be able to do that. Same thing with performing arts and school graduation. Ability to have school graduations will be much more flexible to allow people to have those graduation ceremonies. There will also be changes for religious organizations to those rules. So the same thing, your church will be able to have people who are vaccinated in an area where you're close to your congregants. If you want to go to college, it will be a benefit to be vaccinated. We know Washington State has made a decision, and several other of their private colleges. We anticipate more colleges will make announcements in that regard, and I am supportive of those efforts. We simply can't have these outbreaks.
Well, speaking of Governor Inslee, he lashed out yesterday at the Fraternal Order of Eagles in Republic for what he said were a series of public events they held earlier this month that were designed to flout the state's COVID-19 guidelines. The The Regional Health District for Ferry County said Thursday that they've traced 95 new cases of the virus to attendees of the April 9th and 10th events, 7 of whom have been hospitalized. One of the Ferry County residents is currently under care at Central Washington Hospital in Wenatchee.
Now, not everyone has been participating in this effort. I heard about a bunch of people over in Ferry County decided to have a series of social events, in part to show that COVID didn't matter. They wanted to show that COVID's no big deal. That was at the Eagles Club, I'm told, over in Republic. They flouted public health guidelines, they ignored clear science, and it ended up turning into a super spreader event. As a result, there was an outbreak. And today there have been more than 80 people infected in Ferry County. It's taken a tremendous toll on the community, on their healthcare system, and on businesses. We all have a stake in getting vaccinated and continuing to be careful in how we live our lives. And we've seen that in Ferry County. We don't want to see that in other places.
And as we take you to break, 2 new elementary school principals will take up new positions in the Wenatchee School District starting July 1st. Janelle Royster becomes principal at Washington Elementary, while Socorro Yanez takes the lead at John Newberry. Royster has been assistant principal at Orchard Middle School, and Yanez came to the district 10 years ago as a bilingual elementary teacher. Superintendent Paul Gordon says the 2 were selected after a lengthy search and interview process. Coming up next, for graduating students affected by the pandemic, the Wenatchee School District will allow waivers to skip some elective classes. A Grant County judge will take a seat on the federal bench if President Joe Biden has his way. And the Flywheel Angel Network has selected the top 6 companies who will compete in up to $200,000 in investment awards at the upcoming 2021 Flywheel Investment Conference. I'm Grant Olson, and you're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News.
Hi, this is Brian Snyder with Black Rock Asphalt Services here in Wenatchee, your local Black Rock seal coat company. Have you looked at your driveway or parking lot lately? Is it gray and oxidized? Does it have cracks that have not been taken care of? Or do you have striping that is pretty much non-existent? Please give us a call locally here, 509-665-9769. Learn more at blackrockasphaltsealcoating.com.
Family roles change with time. You may find yourself being an unpaid caregiver to a loved one. Caregiving can be rewarding, but also stressful. Taking care of yourself is vital. Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington has low or no cost services for unpaid caregivers, such as in-home support, care supplies, and counseling. Connect in your local area by calling Aging and Adult Care at 800-572-4459 and mention you're interested in caregiver support.
If you're like me, you're already dreaming about the summer, enjoying it with friends and family in the backyard. Don't get discouraged with the chilly breeze of spring just yet. There is still work to be done, and the warmer temperatures are just around the corner. If you've been thinking about when to get your backyard ready for summer, come on down to Blue Lagoon, now scheduling pool openings. Ask us why we think you should open your pool sooner rather than later. Call today. Scheduling is filling up fast.
Welcome back. In another news, for graduating students affected by the pandemic, the Wenatchee School District will allow waivers to skip some elective classes. State guidelines allow local districts to waive some credits on an emergency basis. The Wenatchee School Board adopted a resolution Tuesday to waive up to 2 required classes for its outgoing seniors on a case-by-case basis.
These 2 elective courses may be getting in the way due to COVID, due to online or hybrid or whatever the situation is, family situation. And that's where that conversation starts from. But it's a very robust conversation with the student, with the family, to making sure that they understand the impact of it, especially if it has some college impact to it. If they're waiving a world language course, that maybe is needed at a or your college for that student. They have to have those types of conversations. So it is not just waving to wave to make it easier, but we also recognize many students and families have encountered a number of obstacles throughout this entire COVID experience. And this is one way that we can support our students so they can move forward.
A Grant County judge will take a seat on the federal bench if President Joe Biden has his way. David Estudillo has held a Superior Court seat in Grant County for 6 years, ever since he was appointed by Governor Jay Inslee. Yesterday, Biden nominated the 47-year-old for a judgeship in the Western District of Washington's federal court. Estudillo is a former attorney who practiced in Moses Lake and Wenatchee. His nomination to the lifetime seat must be approved by the U.S. Senate. 2 Wenatchee businesses are among 6 finalists who will be competing for up to $200,000 in awards at the Flywheel Angel Investment Conference May 20th in Wenatchee. Organized by the NCW Tech Alliance, formerly known as GWADA, the event provides investment funds for startup companies. Among the finalists is Cognition Med of Wenatchee, which has developed an app that connects medical providers. Wenatchee's business PetHub also is among the finalists. PetHub has created a data platform that stores information on pets. You're watching the NCWLIFE Evening News. Coming up next, tonight's feature story and your complete local weather forecast. That and much more still to come on the NCWLIFE Evening News. Please stay with us.
As our students return to learn, the need is great for all positions in the Wenatchee School District. Can you see yourself in these hallways? Or helping support students? Maybe you're an excellent office administrator or educator, or you have a love of sports. The Wenatchee School District is now hiring all levels of positions. You can make the difference in the life of a student and in your own life. Apply now at wenatcheeschools.org.
I'm Tom from Alpine Air Heating and Cooling. At Alpine Air, we think of ourselves as customer service-oriented retailers. When you make an appointment, please visit our store, meet our people, see our shop. We are serious about heating and air conditioning. Carrier and Alpine Air are offering huge factory rebates and financing options for all your needs. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Alpine Air. Call for your free replacement estimate. Heat and air, call Alpine Air, 662-6846.
Mary Maids of Wenatchee has been professionally cleaning and sanitizing homes and businesses in North Central Washington since 1998. Mary Maids uses commercial-grade cleaners and viricides. Mary Maids has implemented additional safety and sanitation protocols. They are strictly following CDC guidelines for the safety of their clients and employees. For expert help with cleaning and sanitizing your home or business, call or look up Mary Maids of Wenatchee to schedule your free estimate today.
Welcome back to the NCWLIFE Evening News. About 2 out of 3 Americans diagnosed with COVID-19 will still be experiencing complications up to 6 months later. So-called long COVID was the topic of concern this week in a House of Representatives hearing. In tonight's feature story, 8th District Congressman Kim Schreier pointed out that long COVID can affect kids too, and the best defense is vaccination, something that's still out of reach for people younger than 16.
I have to note that Pfizer submitted a request for emergency use authorization for children 12 to 15 years old several weeks ago. Do you have any idea why we are not moving as quickly with that approval as we did for adults? Because we had that, out to the public, I think within a week or so. And I as a mom of a 12-year-old, and I know moms everywhere are wondering, especially with long COVID, when can our kids get vaccinated?
I, as a grandfather of a 14-year-old, am wondering the same question. So, yes, I know Pfizer did submit their data seeking EUA for kids 12 to 15. FDA has been looking at it. I think, to be fair, it took FDA 2 weeks with the adult data before they convened their advisory committee and had the public discussion. But it has been a little longer than that. I don't have insight into what's happening in the internal workings of the FDA. I'm sure they've been a little busy with this J&J circumstance, but I'm hopeful, as you are, that they will come forward pretty soon with a rendering of a judgment here, and they will have to convene their public committee so that everybody gets to look at this. Obviously, everybody wants to be sure, if we're talking about kids, that there's no new safety concern there. But yeah, wouldn't it be great if we could do that and not have to wait until the fall when school starts up, but get started now this summer, immunizing those high school kids and middle school kids too. I would love it.
It sure would be nice. Summer camp is coming up.
Yes.
So I have another question for you because we're doing our own research here. Israel is a country that has medical records on everybody from the day they're born. They had high rates of COVID like we did. They also now have astounding rates of immunization. I'm just wondering if we are kind of collaborating with Israel on the question of long COVID.
We certainly follow the Israeli literature closely because the benefit that you just described are allowing them to pour out new information to share with people that's very valuable. We also work with the World Health Organization on the long COVID effort, and it's probably primarily through that relationship with WHO, who are also very vested in this because this is a problem seen everywhere in the world. I just want to mention that this is not unique to America. It makes common sense, but it's being seen in every country pretty much. So I've spoken to Israeli colleagues through that relationship, and also a panel that's convened regularly by the European CDC, where they bring leading CDCs from other countries together. Israel is always in that group. You remind me that I'm going to want to talk about long COVID at our meeting coming up shortly.
Time now for a check of your North Central Washington weather forecast. Hope you had a great Friday, and boy, if you had a chance, maybe you had the day off to get outside today. What a great day today. Not quite as warm as yesterday, not quite as cloudy either. We reached a high unofficially of 73, and I think that may even get ticked up a little bit when we get our official temperature a little bit later on. 66 is our normal high, so once again above normal today. How about that? Low temperature this morning, 61 degrees. Didn't look it up, but I'm pretty sure that is an overnight warm record for a low for this time of year. No doubt about that, considering 44 is our normal low. Record high was in 1998 at 88 degrees, 1972 the year. Our record low temperature rather of 32 degrees. Sunrise 5:45, and the sun will set tonight at 8:12. Let's take a look now at what our weekend holds for us, at least the first day of it on Saturday and tomorrow. I think it'll cool down. We talked about that at the top of the newscast, and we will see cooler temperatures out there. 70 to 72 in the Columbia Basin, 71 in Ephrata, 69 in Wenatchee, and a lot of 69s all the way up Highway 97. Omak, Tonasket, Okanagan area, you're going to see about 70 degrees for your Saturday high temperature. As we take a look at tonight and the cloud cover and what's going on, still high pressure parked off the Pacific coast, and that's forming this nice ridge still over the Pacific Northwest. But there is an area of low pressure that's sliding down through Montana, and that's dragging some clouds and, yes, some wind with it. So Saturday, sunny skies, but we will see some wind about 10 to 20 miles an hour. A few clouds around, and it will be cooler as we see a northwesterly flow of air move into our way now instead of that very nice southwesterly flow. Sunday, that'll be a beautiful way to end our weekend. Mostly sunny skies, just a little bit of a breeze out there with high temperatures mainly into the upper 60s for Sunday as we kick off our first full week in May. Can you believe that? Monday, partly cloudy skies, and yes, just a little bit breezy once again as another quick hitting storm system kind of slides through. Most of the precipitation with that, unfortunately, will be in western Washington, and here, once again, temperatures in the upper 60s. For Tuesday, sunny, mild, still just a little bit breezy. We all know if we've been here a while, this is the breezy time of year. Tuesday's high temperatures again, probably more in the 70-degree range because we are warming up as we get into the rest of this forecast. Wednesday, increasing clouds, but high pressure building back up briefly here, and that'll bring us temperatures into the mid-70s for Wednesday. And as we get into the end of the forecast on Thursday, mostly sunny and even a little bit warmer. We are talking highs on Thursday, about 80 degrees here in north central Washington and mid-80s down in the Tri-Cities. Let's take a look now at your 7-day forecast. Tonight, 47, so that's a little bit more where we should see our lows for this time of year. Breezy and 69 for Saturday. Nice for Sunday with sunshine and 70, and then a little bit breezy too on both Monday and Tuesday with temperatures around 70 before we warm up on Wednesday at 74 and Thursday 78. And that's a look at your local weather forecast. Coming up next, tonight's sports report with Eric Granstrom and more as the NCWLIFE Evening News continues right after this.
Somewhere behind these doors is a family member, often alone, taking care of a loved one with Alzheimer's or some other disability, or providing care for a loved one who is not ill but only aging and no longer able to care for themselves. In the field of caregiving, this is the home front. For the home is where most Americans will live out their last days. Contact Aging and Adult Care of Central Washington for a variety of services including caregiving, meals, and medication help.
What is it about Tipsy Canyon Winery that keeps people coming back? Is it the magnificent view from the hillside tasting room? Is it the exceptional but affordable wines? Or is it just the fact that you feel right at home from the minute you walk through the door? Actually, it's all this and more. Experience the Tipsy Canyon Winery located just outside of Manson. Your new home away from home.
Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is your place for famous blues, brews, and barbecue.
Currently, Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is open for dine-in and take-out. Owner Justin Hefner and his staff are just as excited as you to get back to their regularly scheduled full menu, music, and poker. So stay tuned. Meanwhile, Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere is serving a limited menu for lunch and dinner, dine-in or take-out.
Club Crow Bar and Grill in Cashmere, the coolest place in town.
And now it's a sports update on the NCWLIFE channel.
And a happy finally Friday to you. The Mariners are back home after going 3-5 on an 8-game road trip to Boston and Houston. Los Angeles Angels come to town for 3 games, followed by Baltimore for 3. Chris Flexen will get the start on the mound for Seattle tonight. He's 2-1 with a 2.74 ERA. He'll go up against the Angels' Andrew Heaney, who's 1-1 with a 4.35 earned run average. First pitch at 7:10 at T-Mobile Park. Well, Seattle is back in second place in the American League West with a 14-12 record, 2 games behind Oakland. A's got a RBI double for Matt Chapman in the top of the 9th yesterday to beat Tampa Bay 2-1. Chapman also had a home run as the A's improved to 16-10. In Texas, Jose Trevino hit a homer and Isaiah Kiner-Falefa hit a solo shot as the Rangers won over Boston by a final of 4-1. Well, Seattle's starting rotation took another hit on Thursday. Yep, Marco Gonzalez has gone on the injured list for 10 days with a left forearm strain. Manager Scott Service made the announcement yesterday. Gonzalez, who felt the injury in the final inning of his last start, is the 3rd pitcher Seattle has had that suffered an injury in the month of April alone. Meanwhile, Mitch Haniger was out of the lineup for a 2nd consecutive day yesterday. Manager Scott Service says he kept him out because Haniger wasn't quite feeling 100%. Well, the first round of the NFL draft went pretty much as predicted last night with the first 2 picks, Trevor Lawrence and going to Jacksonville. Zach Wilson went to the Jets. John Schneider and Pete Carroll, well, their cutouts enjoyed the first round of the draft cruising around Lake Washington yesterday. Seahawks will finally have the 56th pick in today's 2nd round. General Manager John Schneider says their focus has been re-signing current players and picking up free agents as they knew they'd only have 3 picks in this year's draft.
You know, we really don't ever feel like it stops here. We're constantly trying to build this team all the way through. So to say that we feel good about the things we've done, obviously being able to retain some of our own guys, adding the players that we added in free agency, but it's really a never-ending quest all the way until, you know, the next Super Bowl. So we're never complacent at any position, quite frankly.
Of course, considerable time of Seattle's pre-draft press conference was spent talking about the controversy over off-season comments made by Russell Wilson and rumors of a trade. Pete Carroll says nothing has changed and that Wilson is their guy.
We don't always say the right thing. We don't always do the right thing. And so what I do is whenever things come out, whether it was Russell or anybody else I've ever dealt with in our team that's of a high-profile player in high-profile situations, we address all of it immediately. And he knows exactly where I was coming from. And I told him early on, that this could be really, a long issue that we're dealing with in the media. And I wasn't going to say a word because I knew what the truth was. And we had communicated clearly. I knew right where Russ was coming from. And unfortunately for the people who were following it from the, reading the articles and whatever the people were saying, you didn't have the benefit of what I knew and what Russ knew. And so I've never have played to those kinds of situations and tried to, smooth them out or deal with them or whatever. Just as long as I know the truth, I have the power to know that. And I felt fine about it. I just knew it was uncomfortable. And there was some stuff that, that was said that had to be dealt with, and it has been. So things are said, and sometimes you have to deal with stuff, and that's how we take care of our business. And we're in a fantastic place right now, and really excited about this team and this season and this draft coming up and all of that. And a little bit frustrated that we're not able to do our football in the off season right now. We're in a Zoom mode and in a virtual mode right now, but that's just the way it is. And so we'll make the most of it and compete to make it the best.
Now, looking at this year's draft, Coach Carroll says their work going back to last summer and trading for Jamal Adams is all part of the draft happening right now.
We're not going into the draft with great needs and big spaces that we need to fill and all of that, because the work that the personnel department put together to get our guys in positions to situate the roster so we're in a really good place, and we feel really good about that right now. So hopefully we'll get some help and all that. But whenever, if you can imagine, a draft pick right now, the number one pick right now, played for us last year. That's freaking great, and he had a terrific football season, and he's going to play for us this year as a legit starter. I mean, it's an enormous pick that we gain value, and I'm just thrilled that Jamal's part of our team, and he's going to get way better too. He's going to improve a tremendous amount, and so it's going to be really exciting to watch how that goes down the road.
Seattle has the 56th pick in the second round today, and then the 129th and 250th picks in tomorrow's 4th and 7th rounds. Well, the weekend of softball got an early start yesterday for some schools around the region. Ephrata blanked Cashmere 10-0. Okanagan clobbered Chelan 20-2, and Brewster blew out Liberty Bell 28-5. Now we have softball here today on the NCWLIFE channel. Wenatchee Panthers host the Moses Lake Chiefs. They've moved those game times up. We'll have it on television tonight at 7 o'clock here on the NCWLIFE channel, so you don't need to worry about that. Now, as far as the rest of the busy softball weekend, games today: Cascade hosting Wahluke, Soap Lakes at Manson, Brewster hosting Pateras, Elmira Cooley Heartline visiting Lake Roosevelt. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, the doubleheaders have Eastmont hosting Ephrata, Chelan's at Quincy, Omak visits Okanagan, and Liberty Bell takes on Tonasket. We'll feature baseball, a doubleheader tomorrow here on the NCWLIFE channel as Wenatchee hosts host Brewster at Recreation Park. We'll stream the first game live on Facebook beginning at 11. It'll be on TV at 1 o'clock. Doubleheader baseball action begins today with Moses Lake at Ephrata and Cascade hosting Royal. Lake Roosevelt's taking on Elmira Cooley Heartline. Tomorrow at 11 o'clock, doubleheaders. Eastmont's hosting Chelan, Cashmere's at Quincy, Omak entertains Okanagan, Waterville Mansfield's at Wahluke, and Liberty Bell takes on Tonasket. Also, boys soccer on the schedule this weekend. Cascade hosting Omak today, while Eastmont welcomes Royal tonight. Tomorrow, Chelan travels to Moses Lake, Liberty Bell hosts Okanagan, and Tonasket visits Oroville at 11. The 1 o'clock games have Wenatchee hosting Wahluke, Brewster's at Cashmere, Quincy hosts Ephrata, and Manson visits Bridgeport. Busy weekend. Be safe and sane. I'll see you on Monday, or softball tonight, or baseball tomorrow, whatever the case may be. Grant, back to you.
Have a great weekend, Eric. Thank you. And now let's quickly check in with Dan Kuntz for a look at what's coming up Monday morning on Wake Up Wenatchee Valley. Dan?
Hey, thanks, Grant. I hope everybody enjoys the first weekend in May. We'll be back at it on Monday morning at 7 a.m. We'll be talking about the Lake Chelan Wine and Jazz Fest. We had a chance to go up and visit with Holly and the crew at Siren Song, and they're one of the main sponsors. If you like jazz and you like wine and you like Lake Chelan, circle those dates on your calendar. It's coming up in a couple of weekends. We'll talk about that with Holly at Siren Song on Monday's edition of Wake Up Wenatchee Valley, and everything else you need to start your new month and your new week right here. I'll see you Monday morning at 7 a.m. live and local. Grant, back to you.
Thank you very much, Dan. And that's going to do it for our newscast tonight. I'm Grant Olson. Thanks for joining us, and have a great weekend.
Hey everyone, Fletcher and Amy Ellingson here from Live It Up. Join us every week as we answer your questions on health, wealth, and relationships.
We're all about you creating a life that you love, so tune in to Live It Up.